Tony Dungy here on the Rich Eisen Show, my friend from Sunday Night Football. Here he is on the program. How are you, Coach?
Hey, Rich, doing great. How are you?
I am doing just fine here in the Valley of the Sun. What are you expecting tonight, Tony?
You know what? I think we're going to see two desperate teams. I think this is a watershed game for both teams in terms of the 2017 season. Seattle losing a game at home that they don't normally lose, with their defense letting them down last week. They know they've got to bounce back. Arizona trailing both Seattle and the Rams. If they're going to do it this year, they've got to make a stand at home. So I think you're going to see desperation football, and I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, and then, you know, you've got Adrian Peterson getting the ball 30-some-odd times a game. Knowing Arians as well as you do you expect to see something like that tonight against a Seattle defense that doesn't have Earl Thomas on the back end in the middle?
I do expect to see that because Arizona knows how to play Seattle. And when they've had success against Seattle in the past, it's been taking Seattle's front seven out of the picture by running the ball right at them. And whether it's David Johnson, and they've had numerous backs, but in the last 3 or 4 years when they've beaten Seattle, it's been with a physical run game. Without Carson Palmer, that becomes even more important. Can they wear Seattle down and get to them in the second half with these strong physical runs? That's why they got Adrian Peterson. That's why he's here. And even though it's on 3 days rest, I've been with Bruce Arians before, and I know Bruce is going to tell him, we need you, you got to do it. And Adrian is saying, that's why I'm here.
That is why. I know, exactly right. What based on you've seen, makes Seattle's offense so inconsistent based on what you have seen? Tony?
Well, it's their offensive line play. They really do not have a dominant, just consistent running game. So there are times when they're going to get some runs, but in order to score, it has to be passing game. Everybody knows that, and so people are coming after Russell Wilson. The protection hasn't been great, but some way in the third and fourth quarter, Wilson has been able to dial up these fantastic plays and make things happen. That is going to be the challenge tonight for Arizona, not only rushing him in the first quarter, but rushing him in the third quarter. And then when you're tired after 40 passes or 35 passes, can you get those rushes in the last 3 to 4 minutes of the game when you need them? I know my partner, Rodney Harrison, feels like there's going to be a lot of blitzing, trying to not let Wilson run around and wear that defensive line down, but make him throw the ball fast, get it out of his hand, and that's one way to counteract all the kind of improvisational plays that Russell makes.
Tony Dungy here on the Rich Eisen Show. When's the first time you met Larry Fitzgerald? First time you met
I met
him?
Larry when I was an assistant coach with the Vikings. So it would have been like 93, 94. Larry's dad was a radio broadcaster, covered the team. Larry was always coming out to training camp and practices. He was a young high school receiver at the time. And you could tell he had the drive to be great.
And just the type of individual that he is.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, his family, great family, great mom and dad, raised the right way, leader, he always had goals, always wanted to be a great teammate. I think you see that in the way he blocks. One of the best blocking great receivers that you're going to find. But that's important to him, to do everything right, to be part of the community, not just play on Sundays, but do everything right during the week as well. And that just goes back to the way he was raised.
Let's talk about some other issues in the 5 minutes we have left here on the show. How long was your week after remarks were attributed to you on Dan Patrick's show that you did not say, Tony?
Very long. And I was disappointed at that, Rich, really making it seem that Jim Irsay made a statement to me about Andrew Luck, and it just wasn't true. I was referring to statements that Jim made earlier that, yes, Andrew's got a rehabilitation process. He had a surgery. He's got to be mentally ready to go to make sure that he feels confident that he can go out there and play. So this is what's coming. And the Colts didn't expect that. They thought Luck was going to be ready, and they had to go out and get Jacoby Brissett. So Dan and I are talking about that, and people built it into something that it wasn't. So it was very disappointing.
So what can you read the tea leaves as to what just happened with Vontae Davis in Indianapolis, where he says he's hurt, and the team said it was a playing a drop off, and now he's cut?
I really don't know. I've just following it from the outside like you are. Hey, he doesn't make a trip. They say it's not injury related, then it is injury related, and now it's play related, and now he's having a season-ending surgery, I guess. So following it from afar, it's hard to figure. So I'm not aware of what's going on there.
Okay. When was the last time you spoke with Colin Kaepernick, Coach?
I spoke to Colin Kaepernick one time. I actually interviewed him for Football Night in America when we had them on the year that they were playing great in San Francisco. Seemed like a great young man. The sky was the limit. They're winning and moving forward. And then that's the last time I've actually spoken to him. Coach Harbaugh leaves. Things have, gone in a lot of different directions. So I have not spoken to Colin Kaepernick. That would be probably 3 years now.
Well, I know that you and Rodney had an interesting conversation on Sunday Night Football after the Dolphins-Raiders game about Kaepernick. Which team do you think would have different fortunes this year if they had signed Colin Kaepernick and had him on their roster? Not just maybe during the season, but during the offseason. Which team do you think would have a different fortune had they gone in that direction?
I don't know that they'd have a different fortune, but I really thought Seattle was going to be a place where maybe he would go when you have an offense that is taking shape and you want a backup quarterback that can do some of the things Russell Wilson can do. And I made the point on the show that now that Houston's offense has taken this turn and put Deshaun Watson in charge, and the things that they're doing with the read options and the mobile pockets, moving the pocket around, and the quarterback running, then you want someone who can do that if that's going to be your offensive structure. And to me, I thought they should look at Colin Kaepernick. And if they had done that, maybe they'd have a different fortune now that Watson is hurt. If they had Kaepernick there and on the roster and able to plug in, they continue to be able to do the things that have generated these 30 and 40-point games for them.
Coach, I'll see you tonight on the pregame and then obviously halftime and beyond. Good hanging with you last night.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, looking forward to it, Rich.
Okay, Tony. That's Tony Dungy.
For more Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Rich Eisen Show app.